Hi there, you're about to watch a video outlining the assembly process in a fun, fantasy-like world that is very similar to ours. Before we get started, I wanted to thank our sponsors who, through their support, was able to give the players who participated small stipends, as well as invest into the production of this video. They had no direct input in the creation of this video or how it was laid out, but just believed in the vision for using new methods to bring people into political processes. Thanks for your time, and I hope you enjoy this video on the county, congressional district, and state assembly process here in Colorado. Enjoy. We return to the province of Blue Rivers, a fantasy place whose government works a whole lot like ours. We aim to bring insight into these political processes, following along characters and a story. In our story, we're following along three characters. Selkie of Shmestis Ark, who lives in the mountains and living near a national park. Talana, a third-generation gnome from a nearby province, who is new to politics. And Calthrad, a studied homebody who's working to get more involved in politics to improve the situation of those around him. These characters went to the caucus event and got nominated and chosen as delegates to go to Assembly, which is the next step in this process, where here at Assembly can uplift people to make it onto the ballot and be chosen as participants in the Pegasus Party to potentially get elected. We're going to zoom in a little bit on the characters as they go from caucus to assembly. Some of people have traits that help impact some of the dice rolls they're going to be making to see how well they do at uplifting their chosen candidate and their values in this political process. Talana and Selkie are grounded individuals, which means they'll get just like a flat +1 to their rolls. And Calthrad is creative, which means that one of his rolls, he gets to roll twice. So if he rolls really low, can roll again and then take the highest number. And then they each have traits that they can offer bonuses. Talana is empathetic and friendly. Selkie is wise and quick-witted. And Calthrad is empathetic and friendly. I believe those are the two you chose as well. Then, so zoom in a little bit on this time frame between caucus and assembly. Selkie chose to be uncommitted, so is going to try to use that as a leverage point to see if any of the candidates will speak more towards their values. And both Talana and Calthrad chose to be delegates for Sky Park Jeff for governor. And so I guess asking the two people who chose to support a candidate, would you, if someone from the candidate's campaign reaches out asking if you might want to volunteer, are you someone who feels pretty passionate about their candidate that they might want to volunteer between caucus and assembly?
I have offered to host parties at my university to give Sky Park Jeff more visibility. And so that is one way that I have volunteered. I have also spoken with the communications director and put him in touch with a friend who has a podcast and would like to interview Sky Park Jeff and give him more PR and greater ability to get his message out. And so I am making attempts to do things that are within my wheelhouse, within my availability, within my skill set, and where I have the time.
How about you, Tilana?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of those ways of doing it as you just described, but I definitely like the sound of the fun aspect of party hosting, like how to really just be able to come together and, be on the social side of then building out the network, getting more people excited. Definitely believe overall too, and just needing to be ready to volunteer and support in different ways in this process and building out the better world that we know we need. So it just feels good to hear people excited about it too.
I am going to have us do a fun activity where Selkie character uncommitted. Um, Two of the candidates are Sky Park Jeff. We'll do a quick overview of who they are and their values. Um, Sky Park Jeff is a bit of a disruptor. His family um, became popular because they made parks on floating islands that would go through the sky. And um, while some people see that as an amazing act of nature and design, some people it's hard for them to get to the parks in the sky and would like more on the ground, everyday person related policy. Um, and his opponent, Hoofman Jones, is a centaur and believes in steady progress, um, uh, bringing together people from different backgrounds, industries, but maybe is less of a disruptor than Skypark Jeff is. I am going to have one of you do a fake phone banking thing to Selkie's character who's uncommitted in the attempts to bring them over to Skypark Jeff's side. Who wants to do this activity?
Should we do rollies?
Ooh.
Let's do
Roll
rollies.
dice.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Uh, 3 and 1. Okay.
So you are calling uncommitted delegates to try to get them to support Skypark Jeff in Assembly. And it'll be our other character, Selkie, who is going to pick up. Probably.
Hopefully.
Whenever you're
Hello.
ready.
This is Calithred with Sky Park Jeff's gubernatorial campaign, and I was calling because I took notice that you are listed as an uncommitted delegate following your recent caucus, and I would love to discuss with you why it is that you're uncommitted at this point, and if there's more information that would be to your benefit about coming down to a decision between Sky Park Jeff and his opposing candidate.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for calling. As an active resident in Schmestus Arc, I am incredibly concerned about our national parks and our state parks here, or sorry, our provincial parks in Blue River. And I want to make sure that I am supporting somebody who is going to help support my community since we are seeing attacks on our protected land. So I would like to make sure that whoever I am supporting is somebody who is going to protect that. It's very important to me since it's such a crucial part of where I'm from. And I feel like, as a representative of my community, it's one of the most important things to us. So, my question would be, what can Sky Park Jeff do to help make sure that our parks stay safe? And especially the ones on the ground. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with the sky parks because as an elk, I'm not a sky creature. So what can you do for the parks that are on the ground is my question.
Of course. Well, first of all, let me say that I truly appreciate your passion and your commitment to the outdoors and protection of your homeland. That is certainly something that Mr. Jones also, or Mr. Jeff also appreciates. And he has gone so far in his previous work, he has gone so far as to um, file lawsuits against polluters and companies, and even the federal administration, which has actively sought to uh, deregulate foresting and attempted to push through an increase in logging, which would have devastated entire ecosystems and done further harm to our environment. And he remains committed to further ensuring the rule of law, which the other party may claim that they are uh, big fans of, but only when it is conducive to them and not necessarily to when the rule of law serves someone on the other end. And so I would say if you take a look at his record, even though those fights have taken place in a courtroom and not necessarily in a greater legislative body, he can still take that experience and transfer it to the state legislature and ensure that there are state protections in place.
For the sake of progress, I will say y'all have a really well-rounded conversation, get some questions asked. Maybe not some that Calthrad has the answers to immediately, but is able to take those questions back to the campaign, get them answered, and responses sent back to you. I'm going to roll for the Sky Park Jeff campaign and see how well he does at getting back to you at a decent cadence. A few days go by, you hear back. He has some remarks about parks on the ground being important. Some statements about rule of law and how he plans to make some of these changes happen. And time goes on, and it is Assembly Day for the county. The behind the scenes, the campaigns have been working to contact delegates, speak to them, and on this county assembly, it is an in-person day. You all show up to a large high school. When you walk in, there's an open gym and auditorium-like space set up with bleachers out, tables, chairs. The attendance for the evening is set to be in the hundreds. This is a popular year for government activity, having your voice heard, and so hitting some higher rates of attendance potentially could even get up to 600, 700 people. To pick who should be on the ticket locally. So people within that county whose races are just in that county will have their voice heard for a chance to be on the ballot. And then you will also pick delegates for congressional district assembly and a state assembly to pick candidates, delegates to have that voice heard on who should be on the ballot. Some of you show up with friends. I believe Talana had a friend who was a mermaid who lived in a big glass bowl that has wheels so that the mermaid can attend places that are on land. Some other people that are politically active that you know are around. And show up at this assembly. I guess introduce to me how y'all are showing up that day energy-wise, and anything else you would have done to prepare.
I wore my best dress cloak because I wanted, for it being my first time, I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that I was taking this seriously.
I like that. And if the weather is right, I'm definitely all for a cloak as well. But it seems like it's going to be a little warm, possibly. So I'm leaning into some more summer gear. But overall, I'll just say that, yeah, going with my friend is making such a difference. I know I just need that in certain spaces. To go in alone on something that's a first time, it can be done, but it's always more fun when you have someone else that's with you.
I'm dressed in my traditional garb because I feel like a little bit of an outsider. I'm very new to this world and I am very kind of specifically focused on my world and not necessarily broader issues per se, but am happy to bring the desires of my community with me. I went and I got a pine needle from everybody in the community to talk about what their values were. So I walk in with some pockets full of pine needles. And I am ready to see who would be best to help protect our community in Schmester.
As y'all get there, meet some of the nice people in the Pegasus party. One of which is actually a Pegasus, and you're like, you match the party. Um, uh, Horse with wings and everything. Um, you see in a corner there's three little dudes in a trench coat, and you're curious. Do they get 3 votes? Do they get 1 vote? But that is not for you to decide. There's a credentials table. Gets your name. They make sure you're the same person who is at caucus and that you have the right paperwork to be there. Um, as you get some breakfast, hopefully your assembly has breakfast. I know my local one plans to get breakfast burritos, and the morning starts with speeches from candidates or someone from their campaign. There's not too many contested races, so you don't need to pay super um, big attention to every single race or speaker necessarily. And yeah, you are all at the same assembly. And let's say that because two of you had kind of been in contact, get a chance to meet in person. Um, and we'll just say it's an interaction where all three of you are kind of standing around as these speeches go on. Um, and are getting a chance to, um, if you feel strongly about a candidate, can potentially go around the room and try to persuade people to your cause. Um, there are some potentially swingable people still, and before a vote is tallied, kind of give you all a chance to say a few things to each other or do any last activities to put things in place to give your candidate the best chances possible.
I like to go around the room and point out something that someone has on, whether it's a nice tie or a piece of jewelry or something like that, and go, "Oh, I really like that. Where did you get that? That's so interesting," and kind of start building up conversations. And I've already like gone to the trouble of making sure that my campaign button is on my cloak just right. It's not too cockeyed. It's not too far off, under my armpit or something. It's just like right perfectly where it should be so that the minute someone sees me, they see the campaign button and they know who I am for. And they immediately kind of without my building up to it, they know immediately who I'm there to talk to them about. But I just kind of start building up, where are you from? How far did you journey to get here? And then I'm always one for having a notebook. And so this is my first time and I'm writing down everything. I want to make sure that I learn this whole process perfectly. And so I'd love to learn about you too. What are the top 3 things that are the most important to you? And I just kind of start taking inventory of like the interests and the values of the other people there and kind of trying to gauge their interests based on what is most important to them.
Yeah, I feel like being a first time experience again, I just have to go in there knowing that I'm going to be doing a lot of learning, which is just a lot of listening, observing, taking it in. This is like something my life has not had enough of. So getting the experience to just get a feel for what the scene is like is going to be really helpful, and just knowing what to expect in future years too. But I like the advice of having the pin like just really clearly there, and that being your first indication to someone. That makes a lot of sense and kind of softens the following conversation about trying to persuade them, which, I really do like what Sky Park stands for. And I really am excited to see other local, electeds be moving up the chain towards positions like that too.
Yes, I echo having much to learn. Although I think my idea is to be a little more aloof and observational today and to try to yes, hear everybody out and see what people have to say. I appreciate the openness of announcing who you are trying to convince me of as you come to approach me. But I will be, continue to be discerning. And not to say I want to play hard to get a little bit, but I want to make sure that I can confidently support whoever I am going to be supporting today as a delegate. So I'm hoping I can get some more clarification and confidence about who to go with. And I am hoping to be just a calm, grounded presence. And there's a lot of power and humor. So trying to use that when need be and really just try to be an objective presence while I'm there. And as always, I'm definitely going to advocate for nature breaks. If we could go meet outside or take little breaks to go touch some grass, I feel like that would probably be helpful for us as a group as well.
There is one interaction as the go from speeches to getting things ready for the next vote of assembly, um, where someone who is a representative here to share about their values, talk about what they've been working on recently. Um, it is a satyr, which is like you are like kind of like half um, like you have like horns and you are like your body's kind of like has like hair as well as like skin. It is but you have like hooves instead of feet. Um, and they're a really nice politician. They have like jewelry in their horns. Goes around, chance to ask them any questions if you have any. Um,
I guess, yes, I would like to, just to get more information about other candidates.
yeah, they're there. There's an opportunity to go up and say hi to them. Um, uh, you walk up to them, say hi. They say hi back. Yeah, go ahead and any specific questions you have for them.
Yes, obviously, as a resident of Schmestes Arc, I am concerned about our current parks and making sure that everything is being maintained, that we are being environmentally friendly. And I am new to this scene and would like to get to know more about the candidates and about what you all are doing to help protect places like Schmestes Arc. So, could you please tell me a little bit more about what you are planning on doing as a politician if I were to nominate or support you in this caucus process? What could you help promise me as a resident of Schmestes Arc for how you can help take care of my community?
Go ahead and roll your dice to see how well that message is given and received by them.
Oh, it's an 11. It's pretty good.
Ooh, it's pretty good. This person is aware of you being a delegate and that you are on uncommitted, and that they have given some thought to. Well, let me roll dice for both of our top politician people. Um, how well have they been doing lately? Okay, they both have momentum going for them and um, are taking in some of what they're hearing from people. Both of them want to try and be stronger when it comes to protecting nature. Um, um, peek behind the curtains. This is like very different than actual dungeon mastering because I have to like, how do I align this with keeping it politically a thing, but like not actually like bringing too much of our own politics into it. What is a concession that you are looking for specifically, like as part of your efforts to um, like try to get more policy from them?
Ooh, let's go with water rights.
Okay.
Let's make sure that I want to be, yeah, protecting water rights.
Um, what part of water rights do you think needs more protecting or change?
I'm really in support of a specific dam that's going to help maintain the water supply for Schmestus Arc. And that dam is at odds with a mining company that the federal administration is trying to push. So, what are they going to do to fight the federal administration to protect this dam and continue to fund projects? And are they willing to put their neck on the line a little bit to make sure that that's a priority?
You hear back from both candidates that they have their eye on this, that they want to make it a priority. And I will roll one more time for each of them about um, Sky Park Jeff rolled higher, and we'll just say that he has a bit more passion for that outcome. I'm going to roll one more time before we do the official assembly vote. It's not about if it's a high number or a low number, but if my 2d6 are the same number, something very awkward happens. This is to mirror the very real possibility that someone does just like get up on a table and start shouting about something they're passionate about, or I don't know, a bathroom shuts down. There's just a chance that something awkward or unfortunate is going to happen, and we're going to determine that by luck. Okay, it's a 1 and a 5. It is smooth. The data system stays up. There isn't some like 2-hour long break where they don't know how any of the technology works. From your the amount of people in this room, 600 to 700 people, around 200 people are going to be chosen to go to congressional district assembly, and about 200 people are going to be chosen to go to state assembly. And at those, you will pick candidates for congressional district or state legislative seats. If you had county politicians who are having primaries, you would also get a sense of and vote as delegates from caucus to county assembly, who should be on the ticket, with the threshold being you need 30% support to get onto the primary ballot. And I believe primary ballot order is determined by how much percent support you got. So if there's like one candidate who got like 50% and one candidate that got like 40 and then like 10, the 10% person would be cut. They're not on the primary ballot unless they collect like 1,000 plus signatures. The first name on the ballot would be the 50% person, and then the second name on the ballot is the 40%, and then people who get ballot petition signatures go below them. For the sake of progressing, are y'all trying to go to congressional district assembly and or state assembly to keep this fight going for the candidates you want? There are enough people in this room where you can likely find someone who has the same or close to the same candidate preference to be like, hey, you feel pretty strong that you want to go to this next stage. Like, I trust that we have the same candidate preference. you can be one of our, if there's two candidates, theoretically maybe like one candidate gets nearly half, one candidate gets nearly half, and then uncommitted somewhere in there. So yeah, I guess just curious on where if your characters are filling up to continue this progress or like, this process, or if they just want to help someone else on their team potentially go on.
So previously, I rolled a 3 and a 5. So despite being well studied, life had gotten in the way of me being fully prepared. But I was personally, Sky Park Jeff did personally request that I make the journey to the assembly to be a delegate for him. And so I want to fulfill that quest. And so I would like to go all the way with it.
No, because things went pretty smooth today and just having a good experience, I think, yeah, I feel the momentum of wanting to go into the next step, and just, yeah, with full support towards Sky Park and other candidates who clearly do have momentum. I think, yeah, maybe in more years down the road, more experience would be the kind of thing where I would want to be able to run for one of the seats myself. But overall, yeah, I'm just glad it was a good day. That I feel how that really lends itself to just wanting to keep seeing how the process goes.
Yes, I feel since I'm not super committed to anybody, I don't feel particularly called to continue to make arguments for someone. I am glad that we've had our conversations today, and I think you understand how important it is to me that we are continuing to protect parks. And since Jeff Sky Park or Sky Park Jeff, it's all part of the name, I have a little bit more faith in him than our other candidate, and I trust you to continue to support. And since we've gotten to know each other better, I know that you will continue to carry our best interests with you as well. So you have my support for going further as a delegate.
I'm going to have you all roll your dice and let me know what numbers you get.
I got an 8.
I got a 5 and a 2.
Okay.
Just a 5.
All right. We'll start with Talana, who is feeling that passion and got to meet some people today. Bringing that energy, they get a +1 from their also being grounded. We're gonna add a +2 for being friendly on top of that. High enough scores that feels good that going into this vote have some support. Calthrad, you are able to bring some of your traits of friendliness, your creativity to talking to people and getting support. And yeah, Selkie, you've had a good time. You feel like you're having these quick-witted conversations with people that got to figure out if they're trustworthy or not, and wisdom to uplift people to go to the next stage that share your values. So there are people, this large online form goes out to all the different delegates here. Pick those who want to progress, and the two of you who ran move on to the next stage. Your name was chosen enough times, and Selkie, enough of the people that you have trust in got chosen to move to the next stage as well. Maybe there's some snacks left, and sometimes there's like a happy hour / let off steam and talk about how the day went afterwards. Congressional District Assembly this year is set to happen virtually. So those events happen before State Assembly. You log on to your magical device that works like a computer to something that works like a Zoom call. And it's a little chaotic. There's 600 plus people on this Zoom call. 200 people got chosen from your county, but maybe it covers multiple counties. And in this event, though, it's a little bit more straightforward as some weeks have gone by to solidify who you support, and because it's a virtual event, there's less of this side conversation time to do last minute conversations and trying to pull people to your side. A vote happens, and you understand who's going to be on the ballot that summer for the primary from this congressional district assembly. And then there is state assembly, which pulls in people from across the province, the province assembly, as our fantasy world has it, from people across different counties. This is an event with probably well over 1,000 people in a large college campus or auditorium that is rented out to allow that many people to gather. Outside of the big auditorium chamber, there are, because this is an in-person event, still maybe some conversations happening, trying to pull support for candidates. It is a bit of an all-day excursion, or close to it. As let me roll one more time on if an awkward thing happens. 2 4s. Let me go through. It's a large auditorium. There's 1,000+ people. I mean, there's got to be some level of political protest. Some people pulling out banners, calling out past votes or decisions from some of these candidates. I almost feel like that's guaranteed. I don't know if that's like actual like awkward level. I've seen it where while someone's on stage trying to give a speech, there are people in the audience who just like heckle them that they should get out of the way for other people to run for office. And then there's probably, one guy who is talking about how the windmills are causing everyone to go crazy, and you just have to deal with that guy. I mean, maybe you want to walk to the other side of the room, but he's there because he also went through this process. Funny enough, like this year, I think it might actually be like a little bit of like an election and organizing this. I've been to assemblies before where you're literally like, you're allowed to send 200 people to state assembly, and you're trying to get to that number because it's like, theoretically, this is your county's voice in this, and you're like, all right, put your hand up if you're available that day. And then you just try to loop every single one person who put up their hand to see if they will go. I feel like this year it will actually be like in some areas like contentious. But it's kind of funny how, 4 or 6 years ago, at least in my county, it's like you're almost peer pressuring people to go to the next level. And so state assembly happens, or province assembly, where some candidates are uplifted, get a chance to, throughout this whole process, meet more voters, have their values heard. I'm going to roll for both people. I'm going to give Sky Park Jeff let's just say he gets a plus. I think all 3 of you kind of ended up putting your support towards his delegates. So we'll give him a +3. But not all wins are guaranteed. So if Hoofman Jones rolls really high, y'all might be sad. So roll for sadness. This will be Hoofman Jones first. Okay. He rolled 2 6s. So y'all need a 9 or higher on the dice. 9. and this is Assembly. They both like, unless Sky Park Jeff rolls like double ones, he's still probably hitting his 30% threshold. Um, and he got 2 4s. So 8 plus your 3. So we'll say that it was pretty contentious, the back and forth. The Assembly and caucus, while the intention of it is that it allows the most grassroots, you and your neighbors, to uplift people all the way up to the state level. Um, in actuality, the amount of people who are able to show up and participate is 1 to 2%. And so it's uncertain if Hoofman Jones and Sky Park Jeff, how well they are going to do with everyday public of a larger primary ballot. But at least in the internal assembly process, Hoofman Jones gets a slightly higher percentage than Sky Park Jeff, which will then lead to him being first on the primary ballot. And so you all kind of leave there being like the work not being done on if over the next few months you really do want your candidate to be the person to get to the general election and potentially represent you. So yeah, I guess we can do kind of like where you want your camera to kind of fade on how your character.
I think Calithrad, having made thorough notes throughout the entire process, he cannot wait to go back home and start um, creating content and talking about his experience, and then translating his passion for Sky Park Jeff's campaign, kind of combining now that he is the precinct organizer for his area. He is prepared to talk to other non-committed folks and try to get them over the fence to Sky Park Jeff's side. He volunteers for the Sky Park Jeff campaign, again, wanting to localize his volunteer efforts in his area, because these are his people. This is his area to work, and so he wants to make as much of an impact as close to home as possible, and then also continues to host events at his university, and just tries to, considering how close it got, thinks that just a little more. Jeff may be second on the ballot, but he wants to work to make him the first most voted choice come the primary election.
Awesome.
I mean, I'll admit I was surprised. I think a lot of my own optimisticness, just like kind of thinking that, oh yeah, we had this in the bag to have higher outcome here. But at the same time, I feel energized by it too. So I definitely feel that need to be able to go back and, yeah, get a little bit more strategic, figure out how to build more momentum, because it wasn't even that big of a margin. And, I think there's always ways to build more community and try to get everyone else on board with the message on protection of the provinces. We do not have time to see the Blue Rivers be depleted.
Yes, and I would say I am happy to rally the troops in Schmestes Arc together if we have a candidate who is really going to commit to it, which I feel like Sky Park Jeff is going to do. I think it would be great if he could come visit our community and do a town hall or something, just so people would get to know him better. And I think after that, I'm happy to continue to rally the community once we have our continued support. I will then scatter him with the pine needles that I have collected for my community, and he will be officially our community's choice. It's feeling a little lower stakes now that both candidates have said that they will protect our parks, but I do prefer Sky Park Jeff, so I will continue to push towards that direction slowly but surely, and continuing our grassroots push to make sure we are protecting our own communities.
Amazing. Well, that is the full activity. Thank you all so much for going through that with me and participating. Um, if y'all want to give any shout outs on this last video in the series, feel free to do so.
I think I will mention what I did before is that I am a Twitch streamer and I stream weekly on twitch.tv/Cal Whitebark. And I am also a citizen journalist and I publish on Substack under entries from the Obstinate Plains. And that's at thejosephbowman.substack.com.
Chelsea's mostly here because is my good friend and I loop them into. Chelsea can shout out anything she wants to, but I don't know if that's why she's here.
Well, overall, yeah, thoroughly enjoying the process because I'm leaning into my character with just full reflection of really who I am in this process of like not knowing enough and wanting to learn and trying to be enthusiastic and imagine my most exciting self doing this. So I appreciate that and having it in this format, which I do not have a background in playing games like this, but it certainly is fun to, yeah, get to see what it's like.
I love it. I love it. I am also a Twitch streamer. You can find me at wild_thornberry, and berry spelled like you bury a body, not like you eat a fruit. I am also probably going to be starting up a podcast as well. So stay tuned on that. It'll be me and my non-binary Episcopal priest friend talking about how Christianity has gotten so horribly warped for the end of the world. So don't worry about it, but we're going to have a good time. We are still workshopping. But in the meantime, if you want to see more of these random thought processes, my Twitch streams are a great place to just, yeah, talk more about this. Please feel free to join with whatever you guys want to discuss. Happy to have these conversations while we are playing some good old nostalgia games for emotional system regulation. So thank you. This is just delightful. And I just want to appreciate how much my experience through this has shaped my actual real life experience in the caucus process and how awesome it has been to be like, oh, this is how you get involved. This is the spot. Oh my God, we got to go. So that was really awesome to be able to learn that through this process. And yeah, we have to get the information to everybody we can. And feel like right now getting people to know the things that they need to do or need to know is like almost a little bit of a game that you have to play. You have to be like, how can I secretly get you to learn this information? Can you take a quiz instead of reading an article? Do you want to listen to a podcast instead of doing this? So I just really appreciate all of the ways of approaching that to make sure that everybody gets the info, because this is a really great way to put it in politely, stop bitching and start doing something. So it's been awesome. Thank you.